Oh my God.
Yo, what's up? What's up? How we doing, everybody? On this wonderful, beautiful Wednesday day. Guys, come on. I feel like pop.
Please turn up the volume.
I shoot that shot. I'm coming in hot. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I'm coming in hot. Just like a fajita. I like it where I live. My life in the speaker. I'm nice with the flow. Woo!
Look, everyone's there. Oh my God, that's funny. Is it better, guys? You just so much better from the other day than he was so pissed off. Hold on. I'm going to share while you
Thank God I ain't average. What's up, everybody? How we doing on this wonderful Wednesday grind? This is your boy Raymond. Y'all already know I am your motivator, your inspirator, your transformator, and we are going to help give you some tools tonight. I'm super excited. We're touching on a subject tonight with 10 keys to an amazing relationship, and I have no idea where it's going to go because you never know. Maybe we'll get into an argument. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll agree, but we want you guys to engage. If you've got questions, jump into it. We want to know where you're at in your relationships, where you're at in your life. How can we help? How can we assist? Wherever we're at. But, you know, I am the founder of Right Way Leadership Transformational Coaching, and this is our weekly podcast, and we are super excited. We're super, man, if y'all could just see the bloopers beforehand. So anyways, with that, I'll pass it over here, and she could tell you a little bit about herself. Most of you already know. We are getting ready to OG excitement. Laura said OG excitement. That's what I'm talking about, Laura. We getting original with it. What's up, Idalia? How you doing, Queen Idalia? Annabelle, how you doing, Annabelle? Elkie, Miss Gamble's in the house. Stacy, how you doing, Stacy?
This is a topic. Everybody loves this topic. Everybody loves talking about relationships because everybody's everyone's either in a relationship, getting out of a relationship, or going into a relationship, right? So everybody loves this. Everybody loves this topic.
I'm in a relationship with me, myself, and God.
All right.
Who are you? Like, nobody knows who you are.
Oh, that's true. So if this is the first time we meet, guys, hello. Okay, so
why are you talking like a Cuban country girl?
That's what I am. Oh well, no, I'm actually not. I'm neither one. I'm neither one of those things. Okay, I'm a Hialeah girl. Everybody, some people out there might know what a Hialeah girl is. I'm sure some people out there know what that means exactly. And
you've explained that before. I just think of like. When I think of that, I think of like a club girl, like Austin Powers, where the girl's dancing in the cage.
Laura is cracking up on it. Guys, what is a Hialeah girl? Go ahead and tell. Starlet is there too. Starlet is a Hialeah girl too. All right.
Look, I just think of it. I just think of it as a girl like dancing in the cage, like when you. With the high white go-go boots on. Sorry.
That's all right. So if you guys, I don't just delete what you just heard. Everything you just heard, delete it. All right. So
you asked if I knew what it was, and I was telling you what pops in. I think of Austin Powers.
Laura said nope, that's not what it is. But anyway, there'll be another day.
Starlet's laughing. Thank you, Starlet.
Starlet's laughing at what you just said. Look, Laura says we're bro chicks. That's more like it. All right, guys. So if this is the first time we meet, my name is Sarai Nammur, Sarai Nammur. I'm a licensed mental health counselor in the state of Florida. I'm the founder of Trinity Community Mental Health Center in Miami, Florida, and the founder of Circle of Champions Worldwide. What else do I say? So my passion.
Why you always got to give two names? You always introduce yourself with two names.
Sarai Nammur answer. Anyway,
Why do you do that?
I don't know why I do that. I don't know. Guys, just vote out there. If I should say my name is Sarai Nammur, put a
Oh my gosh.
If I should say Sarai Nammur, press a 2. Put a
You say I'm Sarai Nammur or Sarai Nammur, like you just
Sarai
tell me.
Nammur or Sarai Nammur. Guys, anyway, I'm passionate about helping people overcome and recognize that the traumas that you've been through in your life, your childhood traumas, are only the stepping stone to a greater you. You could use that to help you evolve and actually create your purpose for life. So I'm here to empower you, and I'm here to help you see your greatness, and I'm here to help you say yes to yourself every single day. And then we have Raymond, who wants to say yes to himself every single day. And what did you say? Have a better.
But MJ said both your names are awesome. I think that could be traumatic. By always having to change your name.
Well, you know what? That's what happens. That's what I mean, seriously, that's what happens. Like in my head,
I really feel like having some music on in the
background. Am I Hispanic because my parents are Hispanic? Am I American? It depends like who you ask. Some people are like, well, no, you're Cuban, and then other people are like, no, you're American, and then it's like it's like a place in the world where you don't belong anywhere. That's not what today's show is about.
You're a Cubanica.
I mean, I'm also half Ecuadorian. I gotta claim that too because my dad might be watching, and he's like, "Why is she not claiming Ecuador?" So
hey, Dad, she never claims Ecuadorian, by the way.
He might not claim it either. He's from Hialeah too. He became Cuban in Hialeah.
Oh my gosh. So if you guys can understand, I think Wednesday nights makes us crazy. I think it's Wednesday night. So I hope you guys have had a blessed and wonderful start to your week. This is the Wednesday grind. I never call it hump day. I don't believe in the hump day. I believe that is the corporate America, is because basically you're coming down the backslide to the weekend. So I think we need to be passionate about that midweek. Is like we need to assess. I always believe the Wednesday is, what did we accomplish the beginning of the week? And if we didn't, how can we make an adjustment so we can complete it to the end of the week, right? So I think that's pretty important. So anyways, I hope you guys are having an awesome week. If not, then tonight is the night to grab your popcorn, reset a little bit, and then don't be down on yourself. Like, one of the reasons why I think we do this podcast is because we understand the difficulty of the personal growth. We understand the difficulty of a changed mind, of the growth mindset. And I think one reason why I've always been pressuring Saraí to really do this podcast for like 7 months, I've been asking her, is because I think this is important to really help people. I don't care how good you think you are. I don't care how improved you think you're going. There's always blind spots that we have. And one sentence that you hear tonight can really get you going in the right direction back tomorrow. So never forget, right? So always write down, always be listening to maybe where some things that can really assist you and help you and build you for a better tomorrow. So anyways, I don't even know why I went on that tangent, probably because I'm on my third cup of coffee.
All right, guys. So tonight it's about, and tonight is your night, so I'll let you lead. But tonight is about sorry, I don't know why I got a cough now at the end, but maybe because Raymond had me talking for so long before this. But tonight is about our 10 keys to amazing relationships, and that could be any type of relationship. But I will have Raymond start with. I mean, I guess it's your topic. It's your night. You know how, guys. You know those of you.
I can't control StreamYard. I feel like you're trying to control me, though. I can't.
Look at your phone and follow it there. But you guys that are here with us every
week, you're asking me to do two things at once.
You guys that are here with us every week, you know that we take turns on like whose night it is. This is Raymond's night, and tonight he decided to talk about 10 keys.
No, it's our night. It's our night, but it's I just picked the topic. We just alternate picking the topics.
So the topic is Cranky.
Hey, but hey, Stacy, she always controls the mood, though. I just feel like such a.
We don't know what we know until we know it, she said. I'm looking at my phone too. I'm looking at I'm on here.
Well, did you not know that men struggle with doing two things at once?
Definitely.
like, not only do I have squirrels, right? But I have squirrels that are on speed. So that's like double trouble. Not only are they squirrels constantly running around, but they're on speed. So they're like maxed out, like souped up. So that's me right there. But we're going to get this thing going. So tonight, really, she is bossy. Stop, Elkie. She is bossy. Don't say she's not bossy. She is bossy. Don't stick up. You can't stick up for family.
Family. That's family. That's family. but
so tonight when we talk about relationships, right? I actually Stacy had a phenomenal podcast yesterday. I really enjoyed being a part of. That was really fun. A lot of great nuggets, a lot of learning, and I think that's one thing. So I think when we talk about relationships, each one of us on here can probably add something to or take something out. But when I really think about relationships, these are the things that I've seen over the last 6 years through my developmental growth and my personal growth and my spiritual growth that I have really seen that holds true to good relationships. And some of the things that you do not add, it really breaks down the relationship. I first want to start. There was a story where I met a guy one time, been married for almost 60 years. Think about that, 60 years. And I asked him, like, how have you managed that? He said, well, we just don't talk much.
Oh God, that's terrible.
It is terrible, but it goes to show you that just because people have been married for 35, 45, 50 years does not mean that their relationship was built on a solid foundation.
Right.
I think sometimes people, especially when we're married, we're very stubborn. And we don't want to get better, so we just kind of stay miserable because it's the easy thing to do. It's the right thing to do. We don't address the situations. My first mentor was married at the time was married like 38, 39 years. And he was telling me how crucial it was that him and his wife every year went on a marriage cruise. They went on a cruise specifically for married couples. And, it was a week seminar and they just got to know each other again. And I mean, they're in their 70s. So I think that's important. But I also think we'll touch on that later. So, hey, Queen Brandy. So what?
Well, like you're okay. Go on.
No. Come on. Give it to me.
Not like you're saying, okay, so when people
coming in hot. Oh, sorry.
When people get to the point when we said this was going to be not about love relationships or romantic relationships. We said it was going to be about all relationships. But when I saw the list, I'm like, we're talking about romantic relationships. And I think people are more interested in that. But when you get to the point where there's no more conversation and no more talking, what that really means is that there's no more friendship. And and then
a lot of relationships don't start with friendship though.
Right.
Because they don't even, it's, don't you feel like, and we'll get started, but since we're already here and this is relationship talk, this is, I think it's important, is I see so many times in their 20s, 30s, 40s, I see so many people jump into a relationship and in 2 weeks, they're already sleeping with the person and they never even get to know the person. They don't get to know anything about the person. And then I think once you get into that type of relationship, then I think it's then you feel like it's like the relationship has already become, because that's the ultimate, and then I feel like you don't think you have to grow. You don't have to get to know anybody. It's like, boom, prize has been won. I got my man, I got my woman. And then you just kind of like, you're like the therapist that knows all the stuff behind it.
I am actually a therapist. I'm not like a therapist. Did you get the disrespect here?
I was thinking of Dr. Evil again. You know how Dr. Evil always does that. I'm on an Austin Powers kick tonight.
Well, I am an actual therapist, not a therapist. I'm an actual therapist.
You're a great therapist too.
Oh my God, you're so crazy. Like I'm the therapist calling you crazy. Oh,
All right, so you want to get started?
so friendship is the foundation. All right, anyway, let's get started. Number one, because we're gonna get into that. I know we're gonna get into that actually right now because number one is intimacy. Raymond, your number one was intimacy. Come on.
All right, y'all got me revved up tonight. So yeah, so intimacy. So I believe, and we already know that a significant other, a husband, a wife, we already know that many relationships that start, I don't even know, I'm 40, I don't know if you call them boyfriend and girlfriend. What do you even call that now? Like when you're dating, do you call it dating? Do you call it that's my girlfriend, that's my boyfriend? Like, what do you say at 40 years old? Like, I'm single. Like, so if I start seeing somebody, do I say, yeah, that's my girlfriend? Do people still say that?
Yeah, you say it's your girlfriend. It's your girlfriend.
It seems weird at 40 years old to say I got a girlfriend.
Well, what do you want to call? What do you want to call it? Your friend?
My lady. That's my lady. That's my. Okay. I don't even know.
Say,
you guys tell me. I want them to tell me what you guys call it.
There's Starlet. What should he call someone he's going out with? If he's an old guy who's 40, and you know he's older than me, so I don't know what to say to him. I'm 35, so if he's 40, so
I heard the drums.
and LP when he goes out with a chick, what should he call her? Is my chick?
Stacy said your lover. Stacy said your lover.
Okay, your love. Oh,
that's intimate. That's intimate, Stacy. That's my lover over there.
Yeah, but how do you introduce? He's cracking up. You're gonna introduce her as your lover, and then we're gonna go, really? Like, how good is that? It'll open the door to other questions.
Elkie said not chick though. So MJ said she likes lady. All right, so my lady. That's my lady. That's my lady. Okay. All right, so now we're gonna talk about intimacy, right? And I'm a firm believer that intimacy sets the tone in all relationships. I think the world in the relationships, it's make yourself feel good. It's do things that everyone else is doing. See, there's no intimacy when you're only repeating behaviors that you're watching. Intimacy is a spiritual thing. It's getting to know each other at a spiritual level. And when there's a spiritual connection, whether you have some things you're trying to learn about each other, when there is a spiritual connection, it creates an intimate level. Even in the friendship realm, you know when you have specific friends that you can share specific things with, and then other friends you can't. That's why they say you're my best friend. See, I do believe that you only have a very few best friends. Some people say, well, that's my best friend. That's my best friend. They throw it around loosely, but they don't truly have an intimate relationship with that person. I think intimacy is also being empathetic. I think we have friends in our life that we sympathize for, but we don't necessarily empathize for because they create their own drama. They create their own problems because they repeat behaviors. But I do believe now in a relationship, everything has to start with a spiritual intimacy, right? See, some people think intimacy is sexual, right? But intimacy is not a sexual thing. Intimacy starts first in the foundation of a relationship, you know? And I think that's important for us to understand, whether, you know, whether it's with a friend, whether it's with a parent, whether it's with a child, there's different intimacy levels, right? But when you,
Can you describe like what spiritual intimacy looks like?
I think it's a connection. I think there's a special connection. And I think it's a special connection that you can do in the spiritual form. So it's the inner self, most of you. Have you ever been around somebody that just you get around and it makes you feel joy? Not happy, joy. There's a joy, right? Mm-hmm. I think a spiritual intimacy is a joy, right? Like anytime your phone rings in a specific person, anytime you know you get to go have lunch or you get to have dinner, or even in a true marriage, not that marriages are always good, but when you come home and you feel joy to come home to your partner, there's a joy there. It's because there's a spiritual intimacy that draws you two together outside of the flesh. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Like it's I genuinely enjoy being with you, even though you really frustrate me.
So, okay, so like there's friendship, but friendship, a friendship could be a deep spiritual connection, like you're saying, but it doesn't have to be. So to me, a spiritual connection is like a knowing. It's like a knowing without speaking. It's like a knowing, even if you're not
a knowing, not annoying, a knowing. Okay.
Yeah, know. You said knowing. I think a spiritual connection is a knowing, KNOWIN.
I put it together.
So I think it's a knowing. I think it's a knowing. It's a knowing where the other is at without having to ask. It's a knowing about what's the right thing to say or do. It's a feeling, but not a feeling in the way that it's not a feeling in the sense of like I feel sad or whatever. It's a feeling about knowing where the other person is at. So to me, it's like a knowing. I don't know if that makes sense. As far as a knowing, not annoying, but now you got me thinking. I'm saying annoying.
No, I got you. It's the Cuban talk. I got it.
But it's like it's more. Oh wow! Did he just say that, people? Did he just say that? All right. So it's. Because I have put like trust and friendship and having a dialogue and all of that. But I think trust, friendship, and dialogue and being able to communicate isn't necessarily the spiritual connection. I think it's a product of having a spiritual connection. I think if you have a deep spiritual connection and a knowing, then all of the things fall into place. All the other things are just like the consequence, a positive consequence and a positive result of the spiritual connection. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I think trust, how many people have friendships or how many people are in a marriage, but they don't really even trust their significant other? There are so many marriages like that. There are so many boyfriends and girlfriends that I talk to. They don't even trust their significant other. Like that goes off of character. At first, it's integrity and it's in character. You can't even have intimacy if you don't have good character, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's the first thing. Is I think you have to be a person with great character, and trust is something that is earned over time. It's people just don't give trust. It's people. You earn people's trust over time. But I'm gonna tell you right now, if you break someone's trust, that is the hardest thing that you can ever get back, right?
And I'm glad you brought that up. Were you gonna say more?
No, go.
Oh God, you know he's on coffee. So look, so I'm glad you brought up the talk about trust, because trust doesn't just mean being faithful. Trust means trusting that the other person is going to have your best interest in mind, as far as like decision making, as far as when they're going to come talk to you, as far as their actions. It's not just about being faithful or like not cheating. Trust is about trusting that that person basically has your best interest in mind and what they're doing, thinking, and saying. And then you show up as having their best interest in mind. And that's what creates a lot of the friendship and more of the intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What are you doing?
I was trying. I forgot to share it again. I didn't want you yelling at me, but I don't know how to share it.
Okay, guys. Go to the bottom where it says comments, and on the left-hand side to comments, it says share.
I did, but then it pops up this.
And then you press share.
Whatever.
Click on
now I really messed it up. Thanks a lot.
Go to share and click on.
I got it. I got it. Let's keep rolling. Let's roll with it.
I was gonna tell you how to do it right now.
Oh, come on. Let's do it. I just did it. I just shared it.
All right. I hope you.
I had to do it an old school way though.
You just.
All right. So what do we got next? All
right. Next is die to. Remember, guys, this is all Raymond stuff. So die to self.
Oh, you guys are gonna. Hey, they're all gonna be ready to roll on this. They look. They gonna dive in on this one. They gonna love this. So when I talk about dying to self, okay. When I talk about dying to self, man, I really messed up. Sorry. All right, I'm ready to go. So when we talk about dying to self, we talk about in a relationship. It's not about what you can get out of it. Relationships even, and I don't care what it is. It can be a friendship. It can be a spiritual relationship. It can be a business relationship. It can be, it should always, it should never be about what you can get out of it. You should never be looking about what you can get out of somebody else. You should always be thinking, what can I add? What can I add to this relationship? What will make this relationship better? What can I do to make this person feel welcome, to feel loved, to feel joy, to feel happy, right? But I think the problem is most people, especially when we talk about the business relationship, it's always about how can I get them to purchase? How can I get them to buy? How can I get them? See, when you add a service or you are of value, people will generally get what they want. You offer a service, you offer a value, and people will purchase, right? That's you not taking from them. That's you offering something that they already need and they get to choose. Same thing with a friendship. When you have a friendship, you should never be thinking about what they can do for you, right? You should, it's the deposits, right? When we talk about the 5 love languages, if you've never read the 5 love languages, then maybe relationships are something that you need to work on. Because I think that is a book that everybody in this world needs to read. I don't care whether it's your spouse, whether it's your children, you need to understand that you need to know other people's love language. You need to know what makes them tick. You need to know what makes them feel good. You need to know how to respond to them, or else there's always going to be friction. So when I say die to self, I mean literally die to self. It's not about you and your stinking behaviors. It's about what you can add to other people, if that makes sense.
Okay, that's what I had just mentioned a little while ago, that you have the other person's best interest in mind. Yeah, that's what you mean.
Come on, therapist.
Oh, and that's gonna be happening all night?
No, it's not. Come on.
Well, that's what I was talking about. That you go into whatever type of relationship is, trying to serve the other and trying to add value to the other, and that actually builds trust. When you know someone is walking in trying to do what's best for you, that doesn't necessarily mean that you forget about yourself. It just means that you're like service oriented. So like if it's a business, we hear about that a lot in business, about adding value and being service oriented. But in business, that's what makes your business great, is when you're trying to serve at the highest level and you have high standards and that sort of thing. But imagine if that's how it was in romantic relationships or in any kind of relationship where you're actually trying to do everything at the maximum capacity, to where you're actually fully serving the other and the other is serving you. And some people get like all worked up in that, because then they're like, they think that makes me submissive. But you do have to be submissive to the other one. You do have to be submissive in order to create that intimacy that you were talking about earlier. That doesn't make you a fool, because that's not what we're talking about. But people get like all tripped up with being submissive or vulnerable, like vulnerability. And there's like putting up the front and putting up that wall, and they don't want to give too much, because if you give a lot, then that makes me vulnerable. But in all relationships, like you should be giving all of you, because that way you don't walk away ever wondering, well, what if I would have given a little bit more? And I'd rather give all of me and go, you know what, I gave all of me. I know it wasn't on me and I'm out because it didn't work out, than to just get half of it. And then you're already failing if you get half of yourself. If you give half of your truth, if you give half of what you know you're capable of giving in any type of relationship, you're already failing that relationship. The only way to truly succeed is to be vulnerable and be able to give all of you. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. So I hear people say, marriage is a 50-50 relationship. And I say, if you're only giving
100, it's 100.
It is, but the world, but that's the thing, is the world tells you it's 50-50. And I'm like, if you're only giving 50%, then you're way below average. Like, I'm like, you got to give 100%. And you got to expect, Stacy put it here, and Stacy said, seek to understand and not to be understood, right? We always want people to hear our side of the story. And sometimes, our side of the story is what's damaging the relationship. So anyways, we can move on.
And also Well, I want to add one more thing. So the other thing is like about the giving 50-50 or 100-100. You are 100%. You froze in a very weird way. You should see.
Did I? I'm frozen?
Your eyes were like all weird. But anyway.
Am I frozen now?
Huh?
Am I frozen now?
I'm not frozen anymore. But don't make me forget what I was. So in a relationship, you come in as a whole person. You're not 50% of you. You're a whole person. And then that other person is a whole person. And that's how interdependence is the best type of relationship, because you're 100% you, that other person has enough space and trust and safety to be 100% of themselves. So it's really about safety. So everything we're talking about really leads up to the intimacy that you were speaking about earlier, which has to do with I could show up 100% me and feel safe to be myself. You could show up 100% you, and I'm going to honor and value you, and you're going to honor and value me. And that's part of giving all of yourself, and that's part of being vulnerable enough to show up 100% you. And does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. You always ask that.
I'm asking you if it makes sense, because I know I'm like saying all, and I'm already starting to get loud and do all my hands that I always do.
Getting all fired up for no reason.
I like vulnerability. Laura says, I like vulnerability. It's brave, and you know where you stand within time. Exactly. That's exactly it. It's a brave thing to do, but it's the best thing you could do. Not even for the other person. It's the best thing you could do for yourself, because I know for sure that I will walk away knowing, okay, I gave it my all, and I don't even have to feel like I didn't give it my all, or maybe I did something or didn't do something to keep the relationship going, in whatever type of relationship. All right, the next one is be responsible.
I'm not good at being responsible. I'm just kidding.
These are your points. These are your points.
Oh yeah, put it all on me.
So what were you thinking?
So I mean, I think everybody knows what being responsible is for. So it's being responsible for your own behavior. You know, how many times have you been with a friend or a significant other, and they're the first one to roll you under the bus, or they're the first one to say, well, if you wouldn't have, if Saraí wouldn't have, right? We're always quick to say, well, if you wouldn't have, I wouldn't have acted that way. That's not taking responsibility for yourself. And I think that's where we take so many deposits out of somebody else's bank, because we're so quick to put the responsibility on somebody else. When if we just, even if we're right or wrong, right? If we were to take the responsibility for the problem, even if, like, because most disagreements really are not detrimental life or death situations, right? So if we were able to take responsibility and say, okay, I understand, I see where you're coming from, right? And then you don't have to address it no more. You could really eliminate so much. But we always want to be right. We always want to be first. We always want to take from somebody else. We always want the recognition. See, and that's just not, you know, especially as a man. You know what I mean? Like when I'm talking to the men need to take responsibility. Men need to take ownership in their home. Men need to understand that if the home is falling apart, it's up to them, right? I learned that in my marriage. Whatever happened in Saraí is the one who got me to really understand that. Like, you know, maybe if I would have kept you know, doing what I needed to do, maybe it wouldn't have ended the way it did, right? So now I can look at that and say, okay, well, how can I get better for the next relationship? How can I continue to grow myself? How can I take responsibility, even though that this was done to me? But what could have I had done differently, right? And that's kind of what I mean by like take responsibility for yourself, is the things that happened in the past or in a prior relationship, or if you had a best friend that really did something horrible to you, then you got to learn. It's the whole vulnerability thing. You got to learn to actually take responsibility and understand that not everybody's like that. You had one bad experience, it doesn't mean that's going to be the next person. And if we're not vulnerable, if we're not opening ourselves up then in taking responsibility, then I think we could very possibly lose one of the best relationships in our lives.
So again, we keep bringing up the word vulnerability, and that's so hard. Vulnerability, and that is so key. But so I'm gonna get all professory, I think, right now with the word of taking responsibility. So guys, taking responsibility, when you don't take responsibility, what that means is you're being defensive. When you start blaming the other for what you're doing, what that means is you're being defensive. So you guys out there that are in a relationship, pay attention to that. When your other significant other now we're going to significant others, but I think that's a better way of talking about this. But when you talk to anyone and you see that they're getting defensive in the conversation that you're talking about, I want something to go off in your head going, okay, this is what Saraí was talking about. They're getting defensive. But when the other gets defensive, all that really means is that they're feeling like they're getting attacked. So you're seeing the result of their feeling that they're getting attacked. So what you need to do is decrease that feeling by taking some responsibility on your own. So taking responsibility doesn't mean that you're 100% responsible for what happened. It just means that you're able to recognize your part in the conflict. And there's always your part. There is no such thing as there is, even in an abusive relationship, there is your part, because your part is that maybe you need to walk away, or maybe you haven't set your boundaries, or maybe you put up with a lot of things in the past, and you again, the boundary issue. But the important thing here is for you to understand that when someone doesn't take responsibility, all it really is saying is that they're feeling under attack, and therefore they're being defensive and pointing back at you. And the antidote to that, or the solution to that, is for you to take some responsibility. And as soon as you do that, the tension is going to decrease. As soon as you say, you know what, I could see how it was partially my fault when this happened, or I could see how I contributed to the problem. I could see how I may have said that wrong, or I could see how what I did could have bothered you. And if you were just able to do that, it will totally decrease the conflict, and it will decrease the other person from feeling. You'll disarm the other person, because they will no longer need to defend themselves. They will no longer feel the need to have to go at you like that, because you're already doing it. You're already giving in a little bit and saying, well, it could be partially, or I could see how it's partially my fault, and it might even help the other person take some responsibility as well. So
yeah. Selena said everyone has a role in the household, and I think that's true. Is everyone does have a role to play, but I think that in the world that we live in society, and really it's really built in the entertainment industry. Right? It's really built in the entertainment industry, especially when you start to see the way the engagement in relationships are. It's always a sexual thing, or it's always an argumentative thing. It's an argumentative thing with a makeup, right? And how do people think they make up, right? But they don't show a lot of shows where someone actually takes the responsibility. You know what I mean? And I think, anyways, we can go on a whole down spiral off that one.
All right, next one is,
she went real fast to the next one. She's like, oh, Raymond about to go down a rabbit hole.
I don't know what you were about to say, but
you guys seen that was like a nonchalant, like, shut up.
All right, so we're talking about makeup sex. Let's talk. I know.
The bottom line, the world we live in wants you to think a certain way about relationships, and it's just not the truth. And I think that's what's a great talk tonight. So we can move on. Let's go. Move on. No.
Stop. You're trying to be all like, your hands are moving all like again like that.
Because I'm Neo.
Listen, guys, there's nothing wrong with makeup sex. Makeup sex would probably get you in a better mood so that you could have that conversation.
That's not what I was talking about. You just wanted to go there.
But I'm just gonna say it. So the important thing is not to go. It's important to go back to the conversation, because you can't keep ignoring that conversation. You can't keep ignoring that issue. He's just laughing at me, but you can go ahead and have your makeup sex and all that, but you need to go back to the conversation, and you need to address the issue before that issue turns into a humongous monster that you're unmanageable. And that's what happens a lot. Like, we try to ignore it, sweep things under the rug, and before you know it, there's like a huge dragon underneath the rug that's going to pop out its head at some point. So you always need to go back to the conversation. He's laughing. Oh my gosh.
You got
guys, like this is what I gotta deal with. I gotta
just keep moving. You start talking about dragons popping out of the blankets and all kinds of stuff. That's just can we go to the next one now?
You know, if you feel me out there, if you feel what I'm saying, like you know what I'm talking about. If you don't address the issues and you just pretend
we already know
what's happening, what happens next? What happens when you do that? Because you know it's true what I'm saying.
Like, I'm not listening. I'm not listening.
Okay, the next one is I don't deserve anything. I don't deserve anything.
She was picking on me about this concept. I don't deserve anything. And this is where I want to say is because I always go off of spiritual. I always go off biblical principles. So we might disagree on this one, or we might agree, but have some different kind of like she's going to blend her own stuff into this. So basically, when I think about biblical, I think of you really don't deserve someone to treat you well. You really don't deserve. Yeah, we want that, but we don't deserve specifically, right? We don't deserve. We don't deserve it. But the problem is we think we're owed something. We think that we can do whatever we want and we still get rewards for the behaviors and the actions we have. So when I say I don't deserve it, that means I don't deserve for you to meet me first. I don't deserve for you to greet me first. I don't deserve for you to kiss me first. I don't deserve for you to apologize first. As a man, especially, but we always need to take that initiative saying, okay, I don't deserve it, but I'm going to be the one to do it, which means I'm going to be the one to initiate it first. I'm going to be the one to apologize first. I'm going to be the one to meet you first. I'm going to be the one to greet you first. I'm going to be the one to kiss you first. I'm going to be the one to love you first. See, it's that whole 100 thing again, right? Even if your spouse isn't doing for you, you need to return and do it for them so you can prove to them that you love them, because you're not really looking at your best interest. You're looking at their. So when I say I don't deserve anything, I really don't, because the Bible is very specific when he says what we deserve. You don't really want to know what you deserve. And if you don't believe that, maybe you should go read a little bit, because we deserve a lot more than what we think we're offered, but it was because of what was done for us, right? But we're not going to get into all that talk right now, because I go all in on that sucker. Because, people always tell me, well, I deserve. No, you don't. Well, I deserve. No, you don't. Well, I deserve. No, you don't. Like, you just need, you need to knock it off, because you don't. If you really want what you deserve, I think you're going to think the other way. Right, so let me hear it from your trauma experience therapeutic way.
The only thing I had an issue with when he mentioned this was to say I don't deserve, because I teach people, look at him, I teach people self-love, and self-love means we're worthy of love and we're worthy, we do deserve. So that's the only thing I had an issue with. The concept of taking initiative, I'm good with that. I'm good with the concept of taking initiative, but I also, like, it took me a long time myself to get to the point where I realized that I do deserve what I'm giving. So for me, it got a little touchy while we were going over this.
It got a little touchy. You guys don't understand. Like, man, she gets mean. Y'all don't see the side of her I see.
He said, I don't deserve it. I was like, what you talking about? I don't deserve it. I do deserve it.
But I do believe that we deserve we deserve to be the self-love. But that's what we get from inside. That's the spiritual side of us, right?
But we also deserve to be treated with respect and love and honored and all those things.
Yeah, it's the golden rule. Treat others as you wish to be treated. Right?
So we do deserve. Do you agree with
that? I'm telling you, if you really knew what you deserved, if you really kept, I'm telling you, hey, look, all my folks on here will tell you, if we really got what we deserved, the sinful nature that we live in, the selfish thoughts that we have, the inconsistency that we do, right? When no one, if you, I don't even want to go there, because, man, I'll have people in here start thinking like, oh my gosh, we just have to be better. We give what we want without the expectation of receiving. Does that make sense? You won't deserve nothing, girl.
I understand what you're saying. I understand that. But look, Stacy and Selena agree with me. They're saying, I agree, Saraí. I deserve a kiss. Yes, you do. Stacy, you deserve 100 kisses. And Selena says, yes, we are all worthy. I didn't agree with that because I'm more aggressive. I will be the first. Wait, I didn't.
See, so they're agreeing with me.
No, she said, yes, we are all worthy. I didn't agree with that because I'm more aggressive. I will be the first. She deserves.
So what she's saying is she's going to be the first to respond. So whether she's disagreeing with me or not, she's agreeing, not knowing that she's agreeing with me.
And I get that because look, I'm saying that even though I'm probably a more giving person, but for people like us, look, I'm gonna say ladies, but there are men out there too. If you're the one that tends to be more giving, we also need a reminder that we're also worthy of what we're giving. So I just didn't like the wording. I just didn't like the "I don't deserve" part because that's
But it goes. It also. Man, we can. I think we might even like. We can.
Guys, this is what a fight looks like.
But this is good.
So
this is good.
Concept of deserving on a biblical concept. However, God created this monster. He knows me.
See, look. All right.
Robert Valdez says, I think he means you are not owed anything. Yes, Robert. I think, look, that's
what I just said.
I understand.
Let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next one because I don't want to like.
Okay, you know what? You already talked. It's my turn to talk. So
well, you just talked for 10 minutes.
Listen, guys.
Look. We're only at number 4 because of you.
Stop interrupting me, guys. So we are worthy. We do deserve, but at the same time, it's.
Sam said you can't win with Saraí.
Who said that?
Sam did. That's right, Sam. You already know, bro.
Listen, everyone. Ladies.
Listen, Linda.
Let me talk. Ladies and gentlemen, because there are gentlemen out there and there are women out there. We are worthy, but we also need to initiate because that actually makes us more worthy. The more we initiate, the more we give, it actually increases our value.
It reciprocates.
And it also increases our value because if I'm someone that doesn't give anything, then I'm not of value. If I don't have anything to give, if I'm not giving love, if I'm not giving the best of me to you, then I am not valuable to you. So in order to increase my value, then I have to be someone who initiates and who gives because then you're going to miss that when I'm gone. That type of thing.
It's so funny. It's so funny because while you're disagreeing with me, you're completely saying everything I did. You're just reversing the words.
I don't like the word if I don't deserve. I should have said I deserve, but initially.
Because this is because we're never mind. Go on to the next one. Because I don't want to have to like show you up.
I think I did something wrong with the numbers here. Well, so the next one is the next one is
What?
I didn't put a number 5, so I can't put it here. So
the next one is love. It should be love. I think it should be love.
Yes, the next one is love is a verb, not a feeling. Love is a verb, not a feeling.
So you don't want to put it up there just because you didn't put a number?
No, because I didn't even type it. I'm doing it now.
Okay. So when we talk about, love is a verb, it's an action. Love is an action. See, everybody wants to take love as a feeling, as them butterflies in your stomach. But a lot of people, I think what a lot of people do when it comes to love is the first initial response they get is, wow, she's beautiful. Wow, he's handsome. Wow, he's strong. Wow, she's got beautiful hair. Like we notice like an appearance. So we get this feeling inside of us and we initially think, wow, it's love. Especially once you have I don't want to say intimate, but once you have a sexual relationship with somebody, whether it's you don't have to have a significant other for that, but then you initially think like, well, I love you. And and I think we get this thing where love is actually, it's built on activity. It's built on you, kind of like what we've all discussed to this point. We've discussed so much of actually being that person deserving of love. Like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're a person of character. You're being vulnerable with them. You're creating things. You're being empathetic. You're kind of taking responsibility. So love is actually just it's an action. in motion. Love is something in motion. It's always be willing to do more, to go out of your way more. And and it's a choice, right? So if you're constantly always looking for somebody else to do something, I don't think you can call that love. I don't think you can call that love.
Well,
you know?
So you were talking about sex. So sex gets people confused unless you know what's happening. So sex gets you confused because when you have an orgasm, or
when
we're talking about this, but when you have orgasm or whatever, you
I
release.
don't even know why you went there.
Because you're saying it. So oxytocin gets released when you have an orgasm. An orgasm.
Put the kids to sleep.
Could I talk without you getting? So oxytocin makes you feel the love feeling, makes you feel close. It's the same hormone that gets released when you're breastfeeding. So imagine that. What the hormone that gets released when you're having sex, particularly if you have an orgasm, is the same hormone that gets released when you're breastfeeding, and it's the same love hormone. Which what you don't know is that your brain is releasing a hormone that then makes.
What I didn't know was I breastfed.
Then it makes be quiet. It makes you think that you're in love just because that hormone got released. But it's not necessarily love. It's not love. So you're I'm actually validating your point. Like your point is true.
You just went into detail. Like I wasn't gonna go all into detail. And I've never, guys, I want to admit this. I have never breastfed in my life. I've never breastfed in my life.
Well, I breastfed Lilith. But I'm trying to say something like it's important to know it's important to know that so that we don't get confused. If you meet someone and you're with them for a week and boom, you have sex, that is not love. That's just good sex that made you feel the love feelings. That doesn't necessarily mean love.
They're making fun of my faces. Brandy said, "Oh my God, Raymond, get your life together, bro."
Oh my God! So when you're feeling in love, check yourself. It might be don't determine that you're in love 10 seconds after you have sex. Wait a week and go. Wait a minute, it's still the same thing.
It's not just based on sex, though. That's not even where I was going. I'm saying people end up sleeping with somebody because they think they're in love. They have this feeling of euphoria. So they think they got to give themselves away because they love someone. And because I love them, I have to sleep with them. No, love is built again on the intimate side. Love is built on connection, right? Love isn't built on, wow, you're sexy. Wow, you're hot. Wow, I need to get laid. No, it's so much deeper than that.
Well, lust and love could be very confusing too, because it's
we could go on what love truly is, and we could break down the philios to eros to agape, right? It's really what we're searching for, but that's a talk for another day.
Yeah, go to the next one? I don't know why I feel like you're yelling. Like you sound so loud. Guys, yelling?
Hey, look, Laura said you started it though, Ray. You're right, Laura. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you, Laura, because he swears he didn't start talking.
I feel like everybody's jumping on me tonight.
Well, at the beginning of this conversation, you're the one that said, "Oh, people just want to have sex right away." Blah, blah, blah. So I actually talked. That's why I said what I said. That's what I said. But love is a verb. Love is an action. So it's not enough to feel it. Because you know what? That's such an important thing to say.
I thought we were going to number 6.
I'm not a number 6. I want to say something because people, I'm going to say something about the love languages. So some people could feel deeply in love with you or feel deep love for you, but their love language doesn't match yours. So then you question their love, but it's really just the love language. Like some people show you love by just doing things for you or by gifting you. Other people show love by being affectionate with you. So it's different. Everyone has. That's why what Raymond was saying earlier is you should learn the love languages, and that way you could understand how people show love to you, and you don't start questioning their love. And that way you could understand that, maybe I'm very affectionate, but the person I'm with is someone that does things for me. Then those two love languages don't really match. They don't really match, and then both of us could start questioning, is that really love, or does that person really love me, and that type of thing. So it's important. Simply, I was just saying it's important to know the other person's love language, because since love is an action and we actually determine if someone loves us based on their actions, then we need to understand what their actions are, what their love actions are. And we could only understand what their love actions are based on their love language. Does that make sense? Yes, that makes sense. Next is number 6. View the other as a gift from God. Ooh, I love that one.
Absolutely. And I think that describes it all. And I think this not just in an intimate relationship. I think the true and dear friends that you have, they were put in your life for a reason, right? I think Saraí was put in my life for a reason. I think each one of you guys, Selena, Elke, Laura, Stacy, I think Sam, like we've built these, yeah, they might be virtual relationships, but we don't know where they're going to go. God aligned us all for a reason. And I always say some for a season, some for a reason. And I think the most important thing is that when you have these true friendships, we're not talking about acquaintances, we're talking about true intimate relationships with friends, with our BFFs, right? I think we really have to be thankful for them, because life can be very lonely. You know, life can be very lonely when you're married, you have kids, you got obligations, you're running kids around, you're doing all this. When you got someone who's true, when you got someone you can trust, when you got a ride or die, you know what I mean? Like, you got to be thankful. You got to thank God for them every night you go to bed. You got to pray for their health. You got to pray for their beings, and you got to be there for them. And I think it all wraps in, but I think it's so important. And I'm just talking about just having a true, genuine friendship, right? And I think the best thing we can do is show them that we're thankful them. So that's the importance about even knowing your friend's love language. It's not even in your marriage or your relationship. Know your friend's love language.
Yeah.
Know that your friend, even if it's physical touch, it's that handshake and that embracement of like a man hug. Like me, I love that. I love that man hug. You know what I mean? Because it shows me that there's respect. There's mutual respect. You genuinely know when you go to give somebody a 5 and you go to dap them or you go to embrace them, you can tell that their energy's off, right? So I would say really embrace people as they are a gift from God. Everybody you come in contact with, they are a human. You should treat them as a human, no matter how different they are or no matter how many disagreements. But you know who your ride or dies are, and you should be thankful for them every night.
All right. So what this means to me, view the other as a gift from God. What I think the like, if it's a pinnacle, the highest pinnacle is to honor whoever's in front of you. And for me, honestly, I think that comes easy for me because it doesn't matter like what's happening with you. I always like I sort of close my eyes and I try to hear like what you're about and what your inside is, you know, what your values are, what you believe in, and then I start hearing the greatness in you and I honor you for that. And a lot of people don't get me for that reason because I'll see the greatness in like people you will never see greatness in, and I'm like, man, you're amazing because you're this, you've overcome that, and I start honoring. I almost become tunnel vision, and I don't see the bad, and I only see like the greatness in you, and it makes me, honestly, it makes me vulnerable, and it makes me very what's the word, naive. I'm very naive, and I start only looking at the greatness in you, and honestly, I'm glad I'm like that. But when you say view the other person as a gift from God, is because for the same reason. I think everyone is a gift from God. I think there's greatness inside of you, and I honor that part of you. And the more I could honor that part of you, I think it helps you see more of that in you. The other person that you're with, just a better person because you're reflecting back to them. You're mirroring back to them, you know, their possibilities. And most of the time, most people talking at a very critical level, and
Absolutely.
you know, choose to, like, a lot of times that's why I write about choose to be the light in someone else's life. Choose to let that person see what they have to offer. That if you're a parent with kids, choose to do that with your children. The more you reflect to them what's great in them instead of criticizing that they didn't pick this up or they got a bad grade or whatever, the more they're going to believe that about themselves. And actually, the more pressure it puts on them to show up in their greatness. So to me, viewing the other as a gift of God really means one word. It means honoring the other person, honoring everything about them. Honor. It doesn't mean, you know, the next one that you have here or somewhere is acceptance, but I guess we'll get to that. So honoring the other person doesn't mean that you have to it doesn't mean you have to have a deep relationship with them either. Because you could honor someone who's very different from you and understand in your head, you know what, I honor you for who you are, but because I honor you and because I honor myself, I know that we can't be together. But I honor you. So honoring is recognizing those things and not trying to change the other person either.
I think it's too is when you're talking about that, I'm thinking like even in business, right? So a lot of us, whether we're coaches, whether I know what Stacy does, you know, I think we all have to understand, even our clients, we have to really be thankful for as if they're a gift from God, because even the people that I coach, that I mentor, that are my clients, right? Even I'm learning something from them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think when we see them as a true individual, because that's what each one of us is. See, everyone gets so wrapped up right now in everything that's going on in the world. And I still believe, like, we see people for color, we see people for their ethnicity, we see people, but that's what makes people so great. Like what they add, we need to be thankful for what people add, what God has given them, ability-wise, look-wise, you know, their culture, everything. Like all that is a blessing, could be a blessing in our lives if we see people as true individuals, right? And just passing by. Now, some people are just flat out jerks and you're going to avoid them, obviously. But they're still a gift from God. No matter what of a boob they are, they're still a gift from God. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So 100%. And actually being someone that sees through that is also a gift, to be able to see beyond the surface and beyond the damage, because I don't think it's in our nature to show up ugly, meaning ugly as a human being at your core. You know, that ugly, yeah, that when people show up ugly, if you're able to, like, that's why I say close my eyes. If you're able to like sort of remove that and look deeper into what happened, which actually that's part of the training I'm doing on the 15th, which is a impact of trauma. It has to do with that. It has to do with trying to just ask yourself, what happened to this person that they're showing up like this? Because sometimes it's the trauma and the things that have happened to us that change us, that cause us to be defensive, that cause us to the ugly side of us to show up. And if you don't think you have an ugly side, we all have an ugly side. And we choose how much of that ugly side we want to show to the world and all of that. Okay, so do we go to the next one now?
Yeah, let's go to the next one. Stacy, exactly. Stacy said, I learn from my clients. They help me grow. And that's absolutely, because I think that's the thing, is sometimes I know for me, when you help so many people, I always ask God to remain humble. Keep me humble, keep me humble, keep me humble. It's not about me. It's the gift that God gave me that I can bless other people with. So I think that's important too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Okay, next one. Number 7, exercise your people skills.
Oh. Kids just come in and out at will. So when we talk about exercising your people skills, it goes back to, and we're not even talking about the love languages now. Now we're talking about personalities, right? Again, if you really truly want to live your best life, we need to start mastering some things. People skills. How do you master people skills? You got to read the books, or you got to take, Sarai's training. You got to get coaching. You got to see your blind spots. You got to see the things that normally you wouldn't see. So when we talk about, right, people skills, what's the number one thing that makes you that attracts you to people? Love you too, baby girl. It's the first thing that you see is the smile. You can't tell me listen, everybody has this, and when someone walks into a room, they can lighten it. Right? They can lighten it with their smile, with their appearance, with their grace, because people know like they're going to make me feel. I go to the grocery store, and the people, like, they come and give me hugs. They argue with me to come to their line because they know that I'm going to talk to them and I'm going to encourage them and I'm going to ask them about themselves. They don't get that all day. They get grumpy customers complaining, angry why the noodles were on the bottom shelf. They had to bend over. They deal with this stuff. So you're like, having incredible people skills is making somebody feel good even when you feel like crap. You know what I mean? It's smiling at somebody because you don't know what they're going through. And I think it's learning other people's personalities. Are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? You can tell. When you meet somebody, you can tell, right? But if we're so consumed with ourselves, our own thoughts, our own feelings, then you got no people skills. You lack people skills. And if you lack people skills, you'll never get where you want to go, right? Because you need people to build you up, to help you in anything, right? I love working with people, even though they could frustrate you, but you get to learn so much about yourself. And then you get to learn where are my strengths and how do I build my weaknesses, right? And I think that's important when we're dealing with people skills. But I always go off of it's personal development. It's personal development.
Elkie says it's your energy too. You radiate joy, Raymond.
Oh, thank you, Elkie. Mwah.
All right. So yeah, I agree. Everything you said, well, I agree with everything you said. I would add to that, like part of people skills is very important part of people skills that you would definitely, we have people skills for other people, but then we don't have people skills at home. And what I'm talking about is conflict resolution and communication skills. Like the same communication that you would use with people you work with, or if you're a boss, the same communication you would use with your employees and all that. That's sort of similar to what you would use at home too, because you show.
But the crazy thing is most people don't have conflict resolution. It's an argument. It starts in an argument, it ends in anger. And I really do believe that there are books on conflict resolution. Mm-hmm. There are courses in conflict resolution, right? And I believe all businesses, I believe all entrepreneurs, especially if you're dealing with people, you need to know conflict resolution, because there's going to become a time in your life where you might have to tell your client, look, this is getting a little bit personal. We don't want to cross boundaries. We don't want to cross, and you got to be comfortable with explaining that, right? In a loving manner, right? And then, of course, with business, corporate America, they have no clue how to deal with conflict resolution, right? So I think that's really important that you said that. But again, it goes back to, are you willing to do the necessary work? Are you as an individual, as a person, willing to do the necessary work to improve yourself?
Yeah,
right?
Yourself. Exactly.
Yeah.
So Laura says you're a ray of sunshine.
I know, I love Laura. She
Nobody's saying anything about me. It's only about you.
You know what? Everybody knows, see, because everybody feels so, because you make everybody feel so good, right?
Oh, now you're trying to fix it. Sam will say something good about me.
Listen, I think I did, I don't know when it was, but I did a live, and I told people what attracted me to you was the fact that I saw the way you treated everybody else, right? It's that edification. My mentor used to teach me how important edifying other people were, especially like edifying people, like just edification, edifying your children. You talked about that, edifying your children. It's like when you learn to edify people, and it makes people feel uncomfortable. Why? Because the world doesn't do that. Right. The world doesn't. Think about how uncomfortable people feel when you say something good to them. They don't know how to respond, and they always respond usually with kind of like something negative. You know what I mean? They just don't know how to receive it. So anyway,
they say, have you ever heard like one of the most selfish things you could do is give so much of yourself to others, because it's going to come back to you. So yeah. Anyway, next is shared interest. Shared interest. So the next point to having amazing relationships is to have shared interest. Mm-hmm. Are you going to say something?
Shared interest is yeah. I mean, it goes back to everything that we've talked about when it comes to relationships. I think it all boils back down. You know what I mean? Is why would you get into a relationship with somebody who has no common interest? Why would you get into a relationship with somebody who wants the complete opposite of what you want? Why would you be somebody who wants to get into a relationship with somebody that you know doesn't want to get married, but you believe that you can change them to want to get married? Why would you want to give yourself to somebody who has no respect for your long-term vision? See, I think there becomes a part.
Somebody needed to hear that. I know somebody out there just needed to hear all that list that you made right there. That was good.
but it's so true. We chase our feelings, and our feelings are based off of looks. Our feelings are based off of appearances. Our feelings are based off of material things. And we think that they have something that we're lacking, so it attracts us to them. We're not attracted to them because we never get to truly know them. And then once we get to know them, it's like completely like, yeah, like it's shocking. It's like, wow, you suck, right?
that was strong. That was strong. You suck.
But you know what I mean? And I don't mean they suck as a person. I mean it sucks as a significant other. Like not everybody's meant like, and we'll I think that's on the last thing we'll talk about. But I think having a shared interest. Are you a dreamer? And I'll be flat out honest with you. Like in my marriage, when I got into the entrepreneurial field and I started to put my faith in Christ, we started to be divided because the fork in the road was different. I became a dreamer, someone who finally was told that you don't have to live the life that you lived up to this point. You can change, read these books, do these things. And my ex was like, oh, you're in a cult. Oh, they're trying to brainwash you. And I learned this. My mentor said, when I would go to him, he says, it ain't a brainwashing, it's a brain flushing. And I was like, yeah, man, like I got so much negative, horrible thoughts. And when I started to do and put myself in better situations, I saw that like, man, life through a different lens, right? But I'm going to talk about the lens effect, but you got to get tickets to the Rise Up Masterclass because one of the things I'm going to talk about is the lens effect and how we see the world and how we perceive things, because perception is everything. And if you perceive somebody through material gain, through how they look, then your perception is going to leave you in a bad place. Sorry.
Yeah, and the Rise Up Masterclass, guys, is on the 27th.
No, 28th, 29th. Yeah, 27th. 27th, 28th, 29th. Yeah.
So next one is
you don't have nothing on the shared interest part. I know we ran over, but you might as well drop it.
Because of time, but shared interest is very important because you have to have combined visions. And even if it's a friendship, you have to have, there has to be something that combines you, because I don't know, I don't have a lot to say.
But don't you believe, even like if one person has the vision, the other person doesn't have to see it, but to be supportive of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. All right, we can move on. I'm sorry.
Why
are you so stuck? You are stuck. Like you. Why are you stuck? Like you're stuck
with the shared vision or the shared interest part. I'm stuck.
No, you're just like
because I'm looking at 8:52. So since we're an hour.
Let's go. Hey man, look. You know what? It is what it is.
Next one is like we're doing an hour and a half every week, so it's become that. That's what it is. We're an hour and a half show.
I know. We just because we're yeah. You talk too much.
Anyway, the next one is acceptance. I know we talked about it a little while ago, so you could add whatever you want because I think I said a lot about it.
I think it just goes back as understanding that they're not supposed to be what you think they're supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like we want to find somebody and we want to mold them into what we want. Right. This is when I'm coaching and I'm mentoring women, right? Especially with women, and a lot of things, women when they're divorced, they don't have the great self-worth of themselves, right? Some do, but some don't. They think it's their fault. They think they did something wrong. They think they're overweight. They think they're this. They think they're that, right? And I think one of the things is what happens is we see ourselves, so basically what I tell them, right, is I say, you keep trying to fulfill this void, right? And you don't know what you're trying to fulfill it with. You just think you're lonely, so I need to have a significant other. I say this, everything you want, you need to write it down. See, and most people, I'm going to tell you, if I talk to 100 women, maybe 10 women will actually do this task, right? Because they don't see it. I say, write it down. You need to write, you need to pray to God. You need to write it down. See, I'll talk about that in a minute.
detail, to the smallest
To the
detail.
small. Look, I always tell them, you know how you want a man to make you feel. So when they touch your hand, how does that make you feel? Say it, write it down. When he holds my hand, I get shivers, or I get goosebumps, or when I look into his eyes, I see the ecstasy. Like, write every detail down, because when you put that into God's hands, God will start to make it aware of you. But you can't keep jumping into every relationship. So I think that's the next one we talk about, right? So I don't know.
All right, so the next one, so acceptance. I'm just gonna add to what you said earlier, which is people. I'm just gonna say one. Don't try to find someone that you get those feelings for, and then there's things you don't like about them, and you're like, I'll change them.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I'll change them. That's okay. It's okay. I'll change it, because you know what? What you're gonna do is just hurt yourself. You're just gonna hurt yourself when people show you who they are. That's who they really are. That's who they really are. And whatever they show up to be like consistently is who they are, and they've been like that for a long time.
Don't you feel too? Is sometimes people they stop changing themselves and focus for years trying to please the other person. So they're not even enjoying their life. They don't even enjoy the relationship.
And it goes back to interdependence. It goes back to interdependence of you're your whole self. There's no reason to have to change the other person, because the other person is only supposed to complement you. Whoever you choose to be in your life is supposed to complement you and share your life. They're not supposed to become your life. You know, sometimes we get into relationships.
I like that. That's good.
Become our life, and then they become everything to us, and then we forget who we are because they became everything. We put them up on a pedestal, which I'm sure you could go biblical on this too. And once you start like just over glorifying a person and putting them above you and everything, and it's
an idol. It's an idol. And for me, when we talk about Bible, the first thing I think of is God says, "Put nothing before me, no one before me, nothing before me." I'm just going to share this story. I know we're running over on time. So when everything happened in my marriage, like, I'll be vulnerable and I'll share this, because if anybody's going through anything. So when I was going through my marriage, yes, I knew what was going on. But because of my faith, I kept saying that because I'm a man of God, I need to fix my marriage. I need to become the man that God needs me to be, the father that God needs me to be. But the whole time I was trying to put her on a pedestal, right? And I think God was trying to show me that nothing goes before me. I must strip you of everything, right? And I needed to be. That was me. I don't know what your guys' life is, but the one thing I realized was this, right? In the beginning, God made man. He breathed man dust, right? And he breathed breath into the dust. He made man. He saw that man was lonely. So God made a suitable, listen to me. God made man a suitable helper from his rib, right? God made. What we do with our lives, if we go find what suits us. As the human, we say, oh, they make me feel good. God didn't want you to be with that person. Yeah, you had kids. Yeah, you had this. But there's so much friction and tension because they were never designed for you from the beginning. You chose them. That's why I tell people, write it down. Write it down to the detail. God already knows. The problem is we outrun what we want because we want to feel good. We want somebody who makes us feel good in the flesh, but we feel like crap on the inside. Right. So anyways, I can go on a whole tangent about that.
Well, and that's going to pour into the last one, guys. We're finally at the last one. So the last one is to have an amazing relationship with another, you first have to have a good relationship with yourself. And I'm going to attach that to what you just finished saying, because to me, when you say like not have someone as an idol and to honor God, the best way to honor God is by honoring yourself. And Amen. You have to honor yourself and see yourself as worthy. And I'm not talking about honoring yourself. Honoring yourself is not the same as being a narcissist and thinking you're better than everyone else. Honoring yourself means exactly that. Honor yourself. You are worthy. You deserve the best. Can you describe that better of how to honor yourself?
Well, I think honoring yourself is really knowing who you are, right? I think so when I do a lot of my lives, I always ask the question, who are you? Who are you? Not by your name, not by your description, not by your job title, not as a father, not as a husband, not as a man, not as a woman. Who are you? What defines who you are? And if you don't know, you got to find out. Now, already know my faith. I think you got to know who God is so you can figure out who you are and who you were designed to be. But I really do believe that you have to know what your gifts are. You have to know what your talents are. So I think once you start to seek inside what your true greatness is, then I think you start to see yourself, like, not self-righteousness, but righteousness in who created you. And you can walk with authority. I think there's a type of authority that you walk with it. I talk about command presence, right? You ever been around someone when they walk in a room, you're like, they got it going on. Not because they're arrogant, not because they're conceited, because their confidence.
Yes.
And their confidence in who they are, not in an arrogant way. You guys know the arrogant people. You're like, oh gosh. But when somebody walks in and their shoulders are back, their chest is out, their chin is up, they're smiling at you, they're giving you eye contact, right? That's someone who's commanding presence. So when you have that type of relationship with yourself, you're not seeking for anybody to make you feel better. You're not seeking for a man or a woman to make you feel better, which in turns, you're not going to continue to search for the same person that you've been running away from your whole freaking life.
Yeah, and also like a good distinction between, that was good. A good distinction between a narcissist and someone who honors himself is, if I love myself, if I honor myself, if I honor my gifts, if I honor my wants, my needs, if I honor who I truly am, that I will automatically honor you as well. A narcissist isn't coming from that place. A narcissist is coming from a scarcity mindset. Like, I'm not enough. I'm not enough, and I need you to prove it to me by glorifying me. I need you to glorify me, which is so different from honoring. And so a good indicator of someone that is honoring themselves is that they honor you as well. So that's what I have to say about that. And the other thing when you were talking about, which is when we repeat patterns, negative patterns, when we repeat the same cycle of, that, like, for example, you're in a relationship and that's the same relationship you witnessed as a child growing up, which may have been very traumatic. Maybe you witnessed domestic violence, maybe you witnessed cheating, maybe you witnessed screaming, maybe you witnessed just two parents that are so disconnected. And maybe you grew up saying, I am never going to be like my parents. But then here you are 20, 25, 30 years later, you're in the same exact relationship. And it's because we repeat patterns that we didn't heal in ourselves.
We make it acceptable. Somehow we make it acceptable.
Well, it's acceptable only because it's familiar. So we don't
exactly.
We don't engage in dynamics that are not familiar to us, and it happens from the first time. So the first time something happens and we accept it, it's because it's familiar to us, because we've already experienced that in the past, and it's home for us. And home, even if it's painful, home is home, right? Home is our comfort. And so then it all falls into that. But once we transform, and once we were able to go through the process of just going through the real thought process and the real internal transformation, that stuff will no longer be part of us because we've changed. Does that make sense? What I just said?
Makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. I wish there was a whole group of men that were tied into this, because I know for me as a man, like the honoring part is amazing, because I think you do want to honor your wife, you want to honor your children, and I think for me it starts with God, and then of course if you're married, I believe it's got to be your significant other, and then it becomes your children, right? But I also think, like, as a man, I think men should take priority in opening the door. Men should take, and it's not old school. It's just you want to treat someone as if they're a gift. Like your spouse is a gift to you. They truly are a gift to you. And if they're not a gift to you, it's probably because you jumped into a relationship that wasn't for you. And I think, like, for me, I always think, like, when I think of, like, when you think of, like, romantic movies or any of this, like, I think most men should really take pride in saying, you know what? I want to be a king to my wife. to honor her. I want to love her. I want to encourage her. I want to pick her up. You know what I mean? Like I want to provide for her and support her. And I want her to, like, I think we should want these things. It's like I want to be a hero. I want to be a hero. I want to, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? I think more men need to really start to understand what it's like to be a hero into their significant other, or even a hero into their friendships, because some friends need support. Some friends need some friends, they're told maybe their families, maybe they're getting knocked down by their significant other, and you need to be able to pick them up too. You need to be someone who, like, you know what I mean? Like, I could go on, but I just think we need to truly love people, encourage people, and uplift people.
Well,
I'm done for the night.
So I know, right? So those were our 10 points, guys. Let me put my glasses back on because I can't even see. So those were our 10 points. All of you out there. So we brought up these 10 points. Hopefully you guys wrote them down. But I have a question to pose to you guys. Like, which of these points could you be working on right now? Which of these points could you implement and do differently in your relationships? And maybe you're not even in a relationship. Maybe it's like a friendship or a business relationship, or maybe it's the last point, which is love yourself more. Get more in tune with you. Like, heal the toxic relationship that you have with yourself before you even engage in another relationship. So which of these points, what could you do differently this week? Maybe you could even answer, like, what do you guys think was the point that resonated most with you? And what do you think you could be doing differently this week I'm going to say honor yourself, because that's like my favorite word, to honor yourself and honor others. If you honor yourself, you automatically honor others. It just comes natural. So
You froze.
I'm frozen. Laura says number 10.
Absolutely.
Number 10.
Absolutely.
Laura said number 10.
No, you're good now. You're just
now you're freezing. I don't know what just happened. And we went over like 6
have
minutes.
a good relationship. You're going in and out. So I think StreamYard's telling us to wrap this thing up, but
yeah. All right, guys, have a good night. Thank you so much, Elkie, Laura, Selena, Sam, MJ, all of you guys that were here tonight. Robert was here earlier too. I just want to call everybody.
You guys are absolute rock stars.
Jeffrey,
we got rock stars.
Lisa, like all you guys that were here, Stacy, because we didn't even call. We talked so much that we're not even putting them up here. But thank you guys for showing up, and hopefully you got at least one of these points that you can start working on. And Brandy, all of that. All right, guys. Good night.
Love you guys.
Bye, guys.
Deuces.